Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mary, and today's video is going to be some book recommendations based on The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by CHAPPELL ROAN. So I am obsessed with this album. It's my favorite thing that's come out in a long time, and I wanted to do some book recommendations based on the track list. So that's what I'm doing here today. So the first song on the album is Femininomenon. This song made me think of something with like feminist power, obviously, because it's about like women sort of taking their power back. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. I don't have like a distinct order, but there's only a couple of songs that I'm like not obsessed with. The whole album is a no skips album for me, but there are a couple songs that aren't like my top favorites. But then of my top favorites, it's hard to decide which one I like the best. So for this, I was looking for some kind of like feminist style, maybe dystopian fiction. I did briefly toy with doing Handmaid's Tale for this, but I just don't think it has enough of the like female power in it. So I went with The Deep Sky by Yume Kitasai, which is a sci-fi thriller set in space, and it's about this all biologically female crew of a ship that is set to basically populate another planet because Earth can no longer survive, and then there is an explosion that happens on the ship, and you have to figure out who of the cast of characters is the one who is causing the chaos, basically. I love this book. I read this last summer, I believe, and I had a really good time with it. But I thought this fit because, again, they're not all women, but like there are trans and non-binary characters, but they do all have female reproductive organs because part of the mission is that each of these people has to have the ability to carry life because they wanted as minimal of a crew as they could have, but they still needed to repopulate whatever planet they go to. So they have a bunch of sperm donations, and each of the characters has to get pregnant at like different times. That sounds really like kooky and weird, but I really enjoyed this book. I had a great time with it. I think it fits the like vibe of feminine power that the song gives off. Song 2 on the album is Red Wine Supernova. This is a great song. It's about a character or like a woman trying to convince another woman that they should like be together. Like the chorus is, baby, why don't you come over, Red Wine Supernova? And then it's just like about seduction kind of. And so the book that I picked for this is The Impossible Fortress by Jason Rekulak, which is a coming of age story of sorts. But the reason I thought it fit is because there's this character, Mary, who meets the main male character whose name I'm not gonna remember, but they meet at this like video game store type thing or like computer store, and it's in the 80s, and he's trying to make a video game, but Mary is really good with computers, so he's trying to convince her to help him make his video game so that he can like enter this prize basically. And then they end up like forming a deeper connection, but it's initially like not a seduction in the traditional sense, but kind of a like trying to convince her to be his friend and to help him do this thing. And there's more like adventurous things happening there. The third song on the album is After Midnight, and it's about things that happen in clubs after midnight. I think CHAPPELL ROAN did an interview where she talked about why this, like what this song means to her, and basically she's from Missouri, which is where I live right now, and she was saying that like she always grew up hearing like, don't go out after midnight, nothing good happens after midnight. But then she moved to LA and was like, actually a lot of cool things happen after midnight. But it's kind of like a song about inviting chaos into your life. And so the book that I picked for this is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland, because this book has a lot of like chaos in it. It's about these 3 sisters who and their children, they go missing in the Scottish Highlands, and then they're returned like a week, a month. They're returned at some point later, and they now have like bleach blonde hair and black eyes, but it's still them, and about like what happens with their life. And then in this present day timeline, like in the future of that happening, they are looking for one of the sisters because she has maybe gone missing again. Nobody has seen her. And so it's about like the chaos and the power that she has through that chaos. The 4th song on the album is Coffee, and this is one of the slower songs on the album. It's about meeting up with an ex and how you don't really want to like get back together with them, but you like feel like it's almost inevitable that you will like slip and hook up with them and make a mistake, and it'll really like hurt you in the long run. So you're saying, I'll meet you for coffee because I can't meet you at a bar. Like, I know every place leads back to your place is part of the chorus. I was looking for a book with a main character who makes bad choices in the people they spend their time with and like consistently reaches out to someone who is not healthy for them. And I ended up going with my Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, which I read a few years ago. I think 2 years ago now. I think I read it 2022. This book is about a woman who, when she was a teenager, was in a relationship with her teacher at her boarding school, and she and the teacher are still in contact. It's come out now that another student of his is saying that she was groomed by him, and our main character has never really felt like her relationship with him was non-consensual, but she's like having to come to terms with the fact that it is, but she's continuing to talk to him and like reach out to him and be his support system through being accused of this thing. And it's just a really interesting take on like the complexity of grooming and like abuse in that sense. And I love this book. I thought it was so powerful, so good. Made me cry. It was great. But I feel like it fits the vibe because it's like, you know, you shouldn't still be reaching out to this person, and you're like coming to terms with the fact that things about your relationship were not healthy and were not good and were not okay for you, but you can't seem to help yourself, if that makes sense. Song 5 is personally my favorite song on the album, I think. It's Casual, and it's about the like rage you feel when it's about unrequited love kind of, but it's like about being in a relationship with someone who is refusing to commit to you. So it's like a casual relationship, and she's basically describing these things that happen with this person and saying like, oh, we did this, is it casual now? Like my bra is in your dresser, is this casual? Like that kind of thing. So I was looking for a book about a couple that's bad for each other or like won't commit to things, and I've come up with Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, which is my personal favorite Sally Rooney book. And we primarily are following these two girls who used to be in a relationship together. They're now just roommates, but they end up getting involved with this like married couple that they meet through slam poetry. Like the girls do slam poetry together. They used to date, and they end up meeting this woman who's a photographer, and she's married to an actor. And one of the girls ends up sort of having a flirtationship relationship with this photographer, or is going for that. And the other one ends up involved in this affair with the actor husband. And so it's just about the like complexities of this relationship and what they're gonna do about it. I really love this book. I know it's probably not for everyone, and there is an adaptation that has Joe Alwyn in it. It's a really good miniseries. I don't like it as the series as much as I liked Normal People, which was adapted. That miniseries is like Chef's Kiss perfection, but I did prefer this book to the book Normal People. But also it was my second Sally Rooney, so it's possible that I just got used to her writing style. I don't really know, but that is my recommendation for Casual. Song 6 is Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl, and this one's really fun because it has like spoken word at the beginning of it. Chappell Roan said she was inspired by, I think, Alejandro maybe, or Judas, one of the Lady Gaga songs where she has like this spoken word piece at the beginning. And this one's like, you know what they say, never waste a Friday night on a first date. But there I was in my heels with my hair straight, something like that. And she's talking about going on a date with this guy and how like men just really aren't doing it for her, and how she, I don't know, she's like coming into her own that like, I don't want to mess around with these, I think she calls them like mega bummer boys, because I'm a super graphic ultra modern girl or whatever. And so I was looking for like a coming of age book where a character is learning about their own power and prowess within themselves. And I actually have 2 suggestions for this, and they're both speculative, so you can like bear with me. But I have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo as one, specifically because there's a scene at the end of this book. So first of all, Alex Stern has magic powers, right? She can see ghosts, and so this gives her a lot of power in Leith House, which is the 9th house. It's one of the secret societies at Yale, and essentially in this world, Yale has secret societies that are like magical, and magic attracts bad ghosts or like malevolent ghosts. They need somebody who can see the ghosts, who can protect the people doing the rituals at the secret society seance things and prevent people from getting harmed. And that's what Alex Stern has been like brought to Yale to do. And there's a scene at the end of this where she's just like really coming into her power. There's more of a mystery aspect in this because it's split into 2 timelines. And so in one, it's about her like learning about all this stuff. And then the other timeline, one of the other characters has gone missing. I don't remember if it says, so I'm not going to say it here, but it might not be a spoiler. I don't remember. But one of the other characters has gone missing, and Alex is looking for them. And that, I believe, is where Hellbent is going to pick up. I have not read the sequel, but I do have it. It's right back here. But this is why I'm picking this. There's a scene, again, at the end of this book where Alex is just really coming into her power. It's a really cool scene. I really like it, and that's what this reminded me of. I also thought of The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, which is set in this like Puritan-esque town. I don't think it's actually supposed to be like puritanical America, but it does have that vibe. And we're following the main character who's a witch, and she is sort of ostracized from her community, and she's learning more about like the devil and like witchcraft, and eventually she does like come into some sort of like witchy power, and that is why I think this fits. I really like that book. I know that it has mixed reviews, but I thought it was great. Song 7 is Hot to Go, which is my other favorite song on the album. I love this song, and it's really just about like trying to pick up a one-night stand. Like that's what the song is about. It's about being Little Caesars. You're hot and you're ready. And I think it's just such a bop. It's such a fun song. But I wanted to come up with a book that, like, it was giving me the vibes of, like, again, picking up a one-night stand. So I was trying to think of, like, a romance book that starts that way. And I came up with Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, which is the first book in, like, a series of standalone romances. I believe the last one just came out this year, but I could be wrong. I read the first 2 last summer and loved them. Yours Truly and Part of Your World is the first one. Part of Your World is my personal favorite one, but it starts out with Alexis, who is this high-powered surgeon at a hospital, and she's got all this family drama happening, and she ends up like getting stuck on the side of the road in this really small town in Minnesota, and a guy comes to her rescue, and they end up having a one-night stand, and then it's like their romance from there. I think his name is Daniel. I love this book. I thought it was fantastic, and I don't know if it like really fits the vibe because it's more like he was hot to go, but I just think the one night stand thing kicking off into a relationship, it just really worked for this, in my opinion. The 8th song on the album is My Kink is Karma. And this is another one of my favorite songs. I love this song. It's a breakup song about like when you notice that your ex is doing really poorly and it makes you happy. Like that's what it's about. Like she even says like, people think there's something to the effect in the chorus of like, everyone thinks I'm jealous, but really I'm just like, my kink is karma. Like I'm just so pleased that your life is going badly. And for this, I felt like it had to be a revenge book. And if it has to be a revenge book, it has to be Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, which is the story of these 2 characters. So what is the girl's name? I don't remember now. Nick and Amy Dunn are the characters. And essentially Amy Dunn goes missing and she leaves behind this diary that makes it seem like her husband has killed her. And so the whole town is turning against him and you're not really sure what happened to her. So like you're reading this diary from her perspective of like the past couple of years. And you're also, when you're in Nick's perspective, you're hearing him talk about things that have happened or like are happening currently right now with this like police investigation. And this book is so well done. I remember like not really knowing. There's a certain question that you like have in the back of your mind the whole time. I don't want to spoil anything, but you're like, is it this or is it this? And then when you find out what it actually is, you're like, oh my God, diabolical. But I love this book. I haven't read it since I originally read it, which was like a decade ago. More than that, potentially. Whenever the movie came out, I read it right before the movie released. But I'm just saying, like, one of the best books, like one of the best mystery thrillers I've ever read. And I will not reread it because I'm worried that it won't hold up. But I feel like it probably would. But if it doesn't, I just can't risk it, you know? So I've got to keep my memories fond. The 9th song on the album is called Picture You. And this one is more of a, like, slower song. It's more of like a ballad. It's not really a ballad, but it, like, kind of is. And it's got this very, like, sexy noir instrumental thing going on. It's a deeper set song, too. So it, like, starts lower. And all of that works, to me, to, like, evoke an almost, like, gothic atmosphere. And the chorus is, do you picture me like I picture you? Do I look the same from your point of view? And I think it's supposed to be about like dating apps and like you see someone online, but like, do they see you the way that you see yourself? Like, is that what things, like, is that how things are going? Like, are you guys on the same page? Like just not knowing another person's mind. But I sort of took this, like I wanted something with like a gothic vibe. Like the vibes of the song are very important, I feel, for a recommendation. And I wanted something with like a little bit of an obsession vibe, because that's kind of the vibe I get from the song. So the 2 books that I came up with, first, if you want a classic recommendation, Jane Eyre, I think really encapsulates this. Jane Eyre is about a governess who goes and works with the ward of this man, Mr. Rochester, and she is like the governess there, and then he falls in love with her. And then there's a really creepy twist that I feel like everybody knows, but I feel like you also can't say, that I think would shock you if you did not know. But that adds to the like gothic atmosphere because it's like very ominous. Like there's like a very ominous vibe to this book. And then the other book that I felt like fit this, if you want a more modern take on a gothic, I would recommend The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi, which primarily follows, it's told from the perspective of this guy, the bridegroom. And the bridegroom is never named, but he's talking about his relationship with this woman he meets, who he falls in love with, who is his wife. And they have a deal where he's never allowed to ask her about her past. Of course, he breaks that deal and the reader gets like a lot of flashbacks between Indigo and Azure. I can't remember which one is his wife. I think it's Indigo, but I could be wrong because they're both shades of blue. But it's these girls he met when they were children. And one of them lived in this like really fancy house in the Pacific Northwest, and the other one was relatively poor. And it's like a very toxic female friendship that's happening. And they think that they can see like fae and get into the fae world behind the house. And so like that's what's going on in the past timelines. And then it's building to something pretty intense. Because whichever one he is not married to, something has happened to. I don't remember if it was Indigo or Azure. I'm really sorry about that. I think he's married to Indigo. I think Azure is who is like missing or something has happened to her. And so you're finding out what has happened to the other character. And he is also finding out, but he is telling you this story. And like the way it's told, I think it's so well done. I love this book. It's probably the best gothic book that I've ever read. Don't quote me on that, but like that's what I'm thinking right now. So I really enjoyed it. Song 10 on the album is Kaleidoscope. And this one is about the first time that Chappell Roan fell in love with a girl. And she's talking about like, it was one of her really good friends, and she expressed her feelings to this friend, and then the friend was like, no, I think we should just stay friends. And it's just about heartbreak. It's about like how love is a kaleidoscope. Like it looks different. It can look different ways and it can be different ways, and like you can go back to being friends and that'll be okay. But it's a very like retrospective song to me and introspective. So for that reason, I'm recommending Prep by Curtis Settenfeld for this one. And this book, I love, first of all. It's like pretty old. I think it's from the early 2000s. But anyways, it's about this girl's 4 years at prep school and all of the like misconceptions that she has about herself and others. And she's telling it from the future where she's looking back on her time. So you get this really like nostalgic, bittersweet tone throughout that I feel like really fits the song. And I love this book and I wish more people would read it. The next song on the track list, song 11, is Pink Pony Club. And this one came out actually originally in 2020. And I love this song too. It's like very much a gay club bop. It's so good, but it's about like deciding, like there's a part where she's like, I'm having wicked dreams of leaving Tennessee for Santa Monica or something. And she just wants to go be a go-go dancer at the Pink Pony Club in LA. And I thought that this song, the recommendation that I was thinking, like the vibe that I was trying to encapsulate, I guess, is a person leaving their hometown and all of the expectations that people have of them to make a name for themselves in the world. And I came up with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue for this by Victoria Schwab. This book is about Addie LaRue, who is, I believe, in 17th or 18th century France. And she's being forced to marry someone she doesn't want to marry. So she makes a deal with the devil, basically, like the gods who come out after dark or whatever, and you're not supposed to make deals with them. So I think it's a deal with the devil. And she's like, I don't want to marry this guy. I want to be able to do whatever I want. And like, that's that. And the deal ends up meaning that no one will remember her or know who she is. But she does get to like travel the world. She gets to live her life the way she wants. And that's enough for a time. But by the time the book starts, she's getting pretty sick of it. And then she meets a boy who remembers her. Like she meets someone twice and he remembers meeting her before. And that's never happened to her since she made this deal. So it's about that. But I think this fits because she's like trying to get away. She's like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Like, I don't feel like I belong here. Like, I want to do what I want to do. And like my mother would be horrified, but it's where I belong. And that's pretty much this book. And I love it. Song 12 on the album is Naked in Manhattan. And this song is just, for me, it's fun. Like, it's fun. I knew the book recommendation had to be something queer because like Chappell Roan is, I don't know if she's a lesbian, but she's at least bi and she's a drag queen. So like I wanted something really fun for this one. I wanted something with queer rep. And I thought the perfect recommendation for this song is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston because Naked in Manhattan is like wanting to be with someone and like hook up with them and you're like, I've never done this before. Like, I don't really know how this is going to go. And that's how one of the guys in Red, White, and Royal Blue is. If you don't know, That is a book about the son of the President of the United States and the son of the Queen of England. And they meet and they don't like each other at first, but then they end up like hooking up and falling in love. And I just feel like it's a really fun read. I don't know. And so it works for me. To me, the vibes are there. I think if you like that song, if you want a fun book that's like a fun little gay rom-com, I think Red, White, and Royal Blue will do you well. 13th song on the album is California, which is, again, my other favorite song on this album. And this one is about, I believe Chappell Roan said she wrote it when she got dropped from her record label. And she'd been in LA for a few years. She hadn't really made any like big moves. And she was dropped from her label. So she was feeling really like down and out. And the song is like, come get me out of California. I miss the seasons in Missouri, my dying town. Like, is this really what I want to do? Like, do I really want to be here? And I was looking for a recommendation for someone who was trying to follow their dream, but was just feeling like their dream was getting unattainable. Like maybe they were never going to get it. And maybe they needed to be more realistic, but they just weren't in the past. And so I'm going with The Pisces by Melissa Broder, which is a very strange piece of fiction. I love this cover, by the way. Like, I love her. I think this is a fabulous cover. But this is about a woman who is like in her late 30s, and she's been trying to write a dissertation on Sappho for like a decade. Like, she's been working on her PhD for so long. I think she's in this book taking a break from it because it's been so long, and she's house sitting for someone in Malibu, maybe somewhere like coastal California that's like really expensive. But she's trying to figure out like, is she still going to do this with her life? She's not making any headway. She's not getting anywhere. And she ends up meeting this merman, and it's about their relationship and what that relationship does for her internal conflict. And I just think that's a good recommendation for me. Like, that was the first one that I thought of, is I was like, oh my God, that would be perfect for that song. That's just like my thought, is that I feel like California is about like not really knowing what you're doing with your life, not really knowing if it's like gonna work out, and like, should I scrap this dream and like do something practical? Like, I don't know. That's like the vibe that I got. And then the last song on the album is Guilty Pleasures. And I won't lie, Guilty Pleasures is a song that at the beginning I always like have the urge to skip, but then it gets more upbeat as it goes along. But I don't like the way the song starts out. This is probably my least favorite song on the album, which is funny and like not haha funny, but like I'm pretty sure Chappell Roan said it was her favorite song on the album, which I find funny because it's not my favorite song on the album. But the chorus of this one is like, I want you like a cigarette, something, something, something. And it's about like falling in love with someone and being like, ooh, like you just have a craving for them. Like it's like a guilty pleasure though, because it's wanting someone you shouldn't want, kind of, is how I'm choosing to interpret it. And for this, I'm going with Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett, which is a book that I feel like I've recommended ad nauseum. It's a YA rom-com about these two characters, Zori and Lennon, and they've been best friends since they were children. They live across the street from each other, and they had a falling out a few months before the book starts, so they haven't really spoken. And then they end up going on this camping trip with friends that goes awry, and they get stuck by themselves in the Sierra Nevadas, and they have to deal with their relationship issues. And I love this book because like they both are so clearly like pining for each other, and like they both have a crush on each other, but they also feel like bad about that. Like they don't know if they want their relationship to go that way, or like if they really want that to be part of it. I guess this could have gone for Kaleidoscope too, but I just feel like it's not as melancholy as that. It's like a happier, more upbeat story as you get into it, and the song becomes more happier and upbeat as you listen to it. So those are my Chappell Roan book recommendations. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these books and how you felt about them. Also, let me know if you like this Chappell Roan album. It's, again, my favorite thing that's come out this year. And let me know if there are any other albums that you think I would like based on how much I love this album. Like if there's anything super similar that you are listening to nonstop, I would love to know. Chappell Roan is probably gonna be my top artist of the year. And I have a feeling that like my top 5 songs are gonna be the top like 5 of the songs on this album, just because of how much I've listened to it, but we'll see at the end of the year. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content from me, because I do post 2 videos every week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!